There's someone who contacted me last year, I think around September. It's almost a year now. He asked me for the prices of the equipment. As at last year, that time, I think around this period, the pure water machine was still around 1.4 million naira, and the bottled water machine, that time it was still around 13 million naira, around that amount. So when he contacted me late last month to ask me for the prices of the equipment, when I gave him the new quotation, he himself saw the price change and the differences. In short, he told me he tried to also contact other sellers of the equipment in the market. And to his surprise, he was saying that it was something similar. There are some places whereby maybe he saw the machine for a little bit cheaper price. But if you should consider the cost of transporting the equipment from that location to his own location, you will see that the transportation cost alone self will increase the price of the machine. In short, even if you are importing the machine, let's say you're importing from China, like I confirmed with a vendor last month, the cost of transporting a machine from China to Lagos was $700. That's like around 700,000, 800,000 give or take. And before you transport it from Lagos to your location again, let's say plus minus 200,000, that's like around 1 million just for delivery of the equipment. And minimum of orders which they accept from China for the pure water machine is two pure water machines. So you can see that for you to take your time, if you are like still on the fence trying to contemplate, should I buy it, should I not buy it, you see that within that period, inflation can just come and affect the prices of the machine and the whole thing soars up. And we are even seeing that the dollar is not still stabilized in the market, it's still rising, and other factors too have been affected, like the price of petrol too in the market is being affected. So when it comes to getting into the project, the major advice which I do give to people is take your time, seek the right counsel. If you want to speak with a business partner, you want to hire a consultant like myself, or you have people around you which they are like sourcing ideas from, trying to rub minds together. You should also put in mind that that time period when you are trying to rub minds is good for you to rub minds so that you know what you actually want. But at the same time, if you take longer time before actually making a decision to embark on the project, the cost of the items in the market might increase. So the best thing is just once you are certain you already have your location and you want to embark on the project, you can start by buying your equipment. If there's one pure water machine you want to work with, or even if it is five, if you have money for one pure water machine, you can start by buying one. Then gradually, if you have money for two, three, four, five, like that, you can scale up as time progresses. And I do tell people too, you can start with one pure water machine. Like when we initially started this factory, it was one machine we started with. But with one machine, we upscaled to two. Although starting with two is better, because with two, like your output is doubled for the same amount of tanks and everything that you have in the factory. But yeah, it's still also an option. If you want to start with one, you can start with one. Yeah, along the line, when you have the money to scale up, you can now scale up. That will help you when it comes to buying the equipment. And for the equipment again, they can be delivered and installed nationwide. Like I've mentioned in my videos, I do partner with vendors. We have several vendors who sell the equipments both in Nigeria, and we even have companies from outside the country like Chinese companies, European companies, Mexican, even Brazil. So many have reached out to me that all sell various types of feeding and packaging equipment. So once you know the kind of equipment you are going for, maybe what you want to do, what your production is, if it is yogurt, if you want to fill maybe cola, or you have something in mind that you want to do, you can now request for the appropriate equipment so that at least you know you are getting the right thing for your production. And for the bottled water side again, there are several equipments for bottling. The same machine that fills water is not the same one that does for carbonated drinks. There are various equipments that does various types of functions or various types of filling. There's one that fills water, there's one that fills oil, there's one that fills carbonated drinks, and so on, mineral water and the rest. So when making requests for equipment, Please try and be specific because I've gotten messages too from people who just tell me that they need machine for water. This factory was a two-bedroom flat before. This production room where I'm recording this video used to be the parlor. So when the accommodation was empty and we intended to convert it into a saturated water factory, the first thing we did, even before starting any documentation and doing every other thing, was to buy the equipment. Now, why buying equipment is important is because if you have to buy the equipment early, you are buying them at a cheaper rate. I've mentioned it that that pure water machine, that one you see there, we bought it 600,000. That was some years back. When we bought this other one, this one on the left hand side, we bought it 2.5 million because they were years apart. So if you had to see, if you had to consider the prices, I mean, and consider the duration of time it took us before we bought this other machine, you see that the price of the equipment have increased greatly. So similarly to if you are setting up the business, one important thing for you is if you can get the equipment on time, you can have them stored. Either your supplier can keep them in the warehouse for you, or if you already have your space, like I mentioned with this facility, when we got the machines, we just came and kept them. Then, as the whole construction progressed, we were able to make some readjustments. And when it was time for installation, they came for installation. So, similarly to if you have the money to make early payments, somebody contacted me one time. Please let me clarify on this issue too. He called me that he needed equipment, but because I mentioned making payments on installment, he was thinking that the company will supply the equipment, install everything for him. Then, as he starts producing, he will now pay for the equipment. Normally, we don't do business like this. I don't even think most people who install machines and supply the machines will do business like that because the equipments are worth millions. I don't think there's any supplier or anybody that can actually do that. So once you have the money, pay for what you want at the moment, and anytime you want the equipment installed, they can be installed. By the way, there is an installation cost. There is transportation costs because to transport the equipment, you need to cover the transportation expenses. Then there are other costs or other expenses too. Maybe if you need like an extra cable, maybe there's something that needs to be corrected in the installation ground. Maybe when they come for installation, they see that some pipes, they need to extend the length or do some other things like that. All that too, you should expect to cover some of those other expenses too when the installation team are on site. And when they come for installation to try and provide an accommodation where the installation team can stay, because sometimes the installation takes up to a week, sometimes 2 weeks. In short, there was an industrial factory that was recently commissioned. A colleague I was chatting with told me it took them over a month to install the entire equipment in that place. So there are cases like that whereby maybe they will need like a space. Just try and prepare the place. Maybe if you don't even lodge them in a hotel, but at least in the factory or where the installation is to take place, you should prepare like a room for them to be able to stay within the period which they will be doing the installation. So these are the major things. I don't know if there's anything in regards to equipment that you need to know, or there's any info, anything in particular you would like to know. You can leave a comment and I will try and respond to them as soon as I can.